Boom.
Exactly.
We'll do it live.
WNBC.
Fucking do it live.
I'm freaking out right now, by the way.
Why?
Because while you were doing your thing, I went and I found a collectible site that had the value of these cards.
All right, wait. For the audience, because we do have an audience for this, we just recorded an episode, our first episode of Hard Out, my favorite movie. Gregg Zart was our guest. We talked about Star Wars. That's his all-time favorite movie. This is going to be a regular thing we do where we talk with a guest and they geek out on their favorite movie. Anyway, continuing on that, which this won't be. This is going to be about QAnon, so buckle the fuck up.
Buckle up.
Go ahead. Show us what you found.
But a little side note, I did a little research to see what these. I have a bunch of trading cards. What they're worth. Card number 1 is in mint conditions worth $1,500.
Dude, I told you might be sitting on like 20 grand with those fucking.
All of them are $100.
Is that graded? That $1,500?
And that's the near mint. But the low end on these. $75, $50. I'm literally sitting on a damn gold mine. So,
Dude, so you never looked these prices up before? This is the first time.
No, I haven't looked them up.
Wow.
No, I haven't looked up.
Wait. Here's my advice.
It's going to be hard to part with them, probably.
You said you have doubles, right?
I have a ridiculous.
I would sell the doubles on eBay to get the money to grade the other set. And if you grade that whole set, it would probably be worth like 50 fucking grand, bro.
All of these are doubles.
Dude, start selling some of the doubles on eBay to finance grading the premiere set.
Like the first couple that I saw, it was $750, $1,000. I'm like,
dude.
Oh, wow, I've got all those.
Wow.
I found when I was on chemotherapy.
Insure that shit.
Yeah.
See, part of the problem Chris and I have, we didn't keep all our childhood shit like you did because we moved around, military brats or whatever, and we just eventually got sick of hauling the shit. Some got lost, some got stolen in shipments, moving to the Philippines. The fucking movers stole shit.
Stolen, a box of goodies.
The pack rat in me is doing somersaults right now, and I need the money. You know, I've been out of work. I had a big legal defense fund. Maybe we'll talk about that later. But I got
actually, I wanted to get into that. If you're talking about the Sturgis thing, because if you're free to talk about it now, I'd love to get into it.
Talk about it. Gloves are off.
For the record, Gregg Zart, friend of the show, first guest we ever had on Hard Out, where he talked about his trip to Sturgis in the thick of COVID. Which went viral to the tune of like 3 million fucking
3 million on Facebook. And you know, my YouTube video that I did an after video on put it on my YouTube channel. I just looked at it yesterday, over 161,000 views on that thing.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah,
this episode will get 6.
We'll be the lowest view.
Our last Hard Out got the 400 or 500, something like that.
We're the yang to your yin.
But little did the general public realize that Gregg Zart ended up in a jail cell in Sturgis, South Dakota, because
which I was dying to talk about last time, but we couldn't for legal reasons.
We couldn't for legal reasons, but the devil's drug, the assassin's drug, the devil's drug, cannabis sativa, that devil drug marijuana, had me looking at some serious time, because it turns out South Dakota not only had a zero tolerance policy, they had whatever's less than zero tolerance. I was about to be, I was actually charged with possession of marijuana, possession of paraphernalia, all that was fine. But the edible gummies, I had 2 10-milligram edibles that I had even forgotten.
People, was this 2 10-milligram gummy bears?
Gummies, about the size.
Could you imagine going to prison for 10 years for fucking gummy bears?
5 to 10 year felony charge for those 2 gummies. That's what I was looking at.
Were these literally the bears, like in the shape of bears?
No, they were in the. They were round.
They were cocks. They were little cocks. That's what got them in trouble.
No, they're like.
I just thought it'd be just.
And
too,
so,
ironic if they were these little candy bears that get you in jail.
You're right. No, basically, I don't eat the gummies to get high. I like sort of have those as like as my version of like NyQuil or something, or like
they're like super mild.
Unless you say it was Joey Diaz. Death Stars and shit.
Yeah. But these ones are 10 milligrams or whatever.
And they're like
the little 10-milligram ones, and they were in my fanny pack. I get in the zipped up in the back part of my fanny pack with my weed. Which
dude, that's what did it in South Dakota. The fanny pack would get you 12 to life.
Oh, and Johnny Law came down on me like a ton of bricks for that little bit of pot. I had like 2 grams of pot and a couple of gummy things, and I was looking at 10 years in prison on a felony. Okay,
for wearing a fanny pack.
Making big rocks little.
Shout out to Matthew J. Kinney in Spearfish, the greatest lawyer in Montana. Love that guy.
Let's talk about how you found that lawyer.
Well, I found him because I have a pretty good network of cannabis and supporters here in Washington State. I'm dialed into Seattle Hemp Fest, Vivian McPeak, that whole crowd. And so I got a lead from my guy Viv and his wife, or his domestic partner, I guess, to be technical. And basically they put me on the trail of the best pot attorney in the state back there. I had the lawyer
brought in the William Kunstler of fucking weed in South Dakota.
No, he was like Johnny Cochran. Like if the glove don't fit, you must have quit. And he went in there and did a little tap dance on their heads. Scared them off the felony, scared them off everything. Matter of fact, I ended up with a $400 fine.
Now they just legalized, right?
South Dakota did?
Here's the kicker. Okay, so they did just
I thought that's what got you off the hook, maybe.
Dude, get this. What if you had been charged and then they decriminalized and then they send you to 10 years because it was illegal when you did it in 3 months?
A lot of these states make it retroactive, I think.
Right, but South Dakota's.
I was trying to stall. I was trying to stall with my lawyer, and I knew the vote was coming up, and I said, look, would it work to our benefit?
Like your future hinging on the vote, man. Wow.
To see what happens, but bottom line is I had to pay this lawyer $5,000 to like hire him, and that
sell some fucking Star Wars cards to pay that motherfucker
man,
off.
I'm telling you, it was
Maybe
like
he'll just take trade.
It was a big hit because I'm not really generating the income that I used to. So stay tuned for my GoFundMe about this because I shot some videos. But the bottom line is it was worth it to keep me out of damn prison and get that out.
Just offer
certainly.
But that's basically all they wanted was they wanted to they wanted me to grease their palms a little bit, which they got some of my money, but I didn't have to go to jail, which is great. But I did spend.
Fuck off.
I spent 12 hours.
There's $5,000 laying around.
So here I am at the Super Spreader event, Sturgis 80th Annual Motorcycle Rally. Nobody wearing a mask. They're arresting everybody for weed. That's all they were arresting people for. You could be having sex on the sidewalk. They didn't care. You could be like, whatever. And so their focus was that devil drug, marijuana. It's the devil's drug. And so I was in a 12-man holding tank. There were about 20 of us. There were people sleeping all over the floor.
Everybody's coughing because they're stoners.
The guy directly below me sounded like he was dying of COVID-19. He just
took a gravity bong hit before he got thrown in.
He was hacking, coughing, sneezing, puking. Finally, I was like, dude, man, you got the COVID or what, man? I was getting irritated.
And no one was wearing masks at all.
Nobody. They didn't even give us masks.
They wouldn't let them.
I requested a mask. They refused. I went in with a mask.
Yeah,
they made me take my mask off.
Go back
to your lawyer. Sue them.
They sent
what was that lawyer's name?
Matthew Kinney.
I wish you got that
out of
shit.
Spearfish.
And get him on that shit.
Kinney Law. If you get in trouble, hire this guy because he knows what he's doing. But it ain't cheap. And, I took a little, but they threw me in the lion's den. I thought they were trying to give me COVID for sure.
Hey, let me say something to him. Bro, for the cause, when people get busted for dumb shit like this, don't charge them so much. You should just go pro bono and Gregg Zart.
Well,
how much time did you really spend?
Exactly.
Like an hour? So you charge $5,000 an hour, bro?
Well, the $5,000 deal was so that if it had to go to a judge trial, not a jury trial, but he said he would take it all the way through a trial with a sitting judge. But it didn't even go there.
Right.
And now they've legalized it. So I actually just called him this last week.
Yeah, he needs to forget
earlier
that
this
shit,
week,
dude.
And I said, hey, can I just get that like take it off my record completely. And he said, well, let me work on it. I'll get back to you. So
he's still working for you.
Blase. So we still kind of working for him.
They try and negotiate that price though.
And he was a nice guy, very, very good. But the bottom line is I did the full, because if you go to Sturgis and you don't get arrested, well, you're kind of a punk. You know what I mean? Like you're not really gangster. You're not gangster. So you go to jail.
You're a Harley riding normie.
I mean, I even saw a comment
for being arrested at Sturgis.
Yeah, I should have. I saw a comment on my Antifa video that I posted on my YouTube channel, and from some guy that said, "Hey, I know you. I was locked up in jail with you."
Cred.
Even networking in the holding cell, man.
So I got some street cred in Sturgis. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but now they all fucking hate you, right? See, this is something that's going to be really interesting about this conversation is how the fair weather friends, the way the wind blows. Because if you're a guy who doesn't subscribe 100% lockstep to either of these stupid ass binary political teams we now are offered as our only options, you're going to be just back and forth swinging a pendulum between pissing these factions off, which I do all the time. I always got the left mad at me for saying something and the right mad at me for saying something. I'm just
so basically, no matter what I do right now during the age of the virus, I'm pissing somebody off. I could do a video with nothing but rainbows and butterflies, and the butterfly advocates would come after me.
Well, the rainbows would set off the Christian evangelists.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so, so my latest video was I've been noticing the Republican Party, specifically the GOP, which doesn't mean Grand Old Party anymore. I feel like it should stand.
They should just add a O, just goof.
No, it's like the goofy old party, because there are more conspiracy theories floating about in that political faction than anywhere else. And so I thought that I'd kind of do a little a collection of some of the interviews that I'd gotten with a bunch of Trump supporters, just to see where they were coming from. And they're coming from crazy places. They think
give me a second to open their minds, because they already just immediately adopted fucking defensive posture listening to the rest of this.
That's true.
So I will say the left has its own conspiracy theories. There's a lot of anti-vaxxer, hippy-dippy chicks. There's a lot of fucking the Russiagate thing. You could argue is a conspiracy theory. Went nowhere. Definitely to me wasn't something.
There's no problem with conspiracy theories. The conspiracy theories aren't the problem. It's being convinced too easily that they're true is the problem.
I mean, I just heard that 70% of Republicans polled right now believe that Joe Biden won the election through fraud and that he stole the election. 70% of
just
those
rank and file.
Yeah, no evidence, just because that's a preferred narrative.
No evidence whatsoever, based on just goofy conspiracy sort of lemming behavior. So basically,
they'll call outliers like the fact that there is always some negligible amount of voter fraud. They'll point to that as like evidence, but it's like no, it's not evidence that the whole election was hijacked.
But I think, and so the bottom line is I put together a video with very little, if any, editorial comment. All I did is I linked together a bunch of interviews with a bunch of people that were attending pro-Trump rallies, and it ranged from 5G conspiracies, where the 5G for your phone is actually changing your DNA and like altering your DNA. Yeah. And then there was there's a whole nother faction within that believes that Bill Gates is intent on genocide and wants to kill everybody on the planet. Bill Gates.
Eugenics. He's like the Charles Lindbergh of the new era.
That vaccines are a ploy to really poison you and to inject you with microchips and tracking devices.
Mind control.
That most of them believe that the coronavirus is saving that a complete hoax and wasn't even a real thing.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so whatever. I didn't comment. I didn't do it. I just strung together a bunch of these things to kind of show where people were coming from. And you should see the comments I'm getting right now. I'm a libtard. I should, I saved a couple of them for you because I thought you'd be sort of entertained.
Hey, are you going to do that hate mail shit with these?
Totally that will be a feature. I'm starting a Patreon, and that's going to be one of my special.
Oh, shit. I will be a patron for the Great Mail Hate.
Absolutely.
I'm going to have a $2 level, $10 level, and a $50 level. Everyone can afford it, depending on what your needs. And hate mail, great mail will be a recurring feature every week. I'm bringing that guy back.
Make that the $2 one, because I
remember
50. I know I'm not in for attendance.
Yeah, no. Hate mail, great mail will be on the $2 level.
What the fuck is 50? Like, you like OnlyFans jerking off to
50,
Star Wars shit?
There are 15-minute webinars one-on-one with me. There's me putting their doing shout outs for them, giving them music files, giving them all kinds of goodies. All right, they get everything. They get all the series.
50 pounds better be some shit.
I've got a new series coming out
called gummy bears.
Street Stories. Street Stories is a whole new series that I'm doing where I'm running unedited entire conversations with people on the streets instead of just like
that's some of the best shit.
So it's going to be really gritty and really interesting.
Premium
but here's
content.
So keep in mind, I just made a video using other people's words. I didn't editorialize anywhere. And here are the comments that I'm getting. Wow, this is so stupid. Get real facts before you bash people. I'm out of here.
And you didn't even say anything.
I literally didn't say anything.
All you did was hold a mic up. And
here's another one. QAnon has not taken over the GOP. BLM and Antifa have taken over the DNC. Liberals have taken over your mind. Me, I guess. And so...
Shit is so frightening to me. It's like they're two competing viruses.
All of a sudden, even though...
Dawkins definition.
Yeah, mimetic, yeah.
All I did is post videos of other people speaking, and they're saying because I guess those people looked kind of silly, that you
made them look silly,
intending to make them look silly because I'm a liberal. I'm
bitch, you're dressed as the fucking Statue of Liberty talking about Bill Gates mind controlling people.
And you have gone to CHOP and to the Antifa demonstrations and done exactly the same thing.
Right. Actually, it was all. I have buddies who are like, "Isn't your Gregg Zart friend like kind of alt-righty or something?" Because you were shitting on Antifa and Sturgis. So that's what I'm talking about. You can't.
Yeah.
You got to pick a side and stick with it, or you're fucked. And
for the record, I think that the far left and the far right are two halves of crazy that I want no part of.
Ouroboros, dude.
I tend to go pretty much right down the middle. And I make my decisions based not on politics, but on policy and actions.
Sir.
And so I'm not a liberal and I'm not a far right. I'm pretty Switzerland, I'm fairly neutral.
And I try not to even talk in those terms. I'm so sick of everyone invoking the left and the right and the liberals and the conservatives. Like, shut the fuck up.
This is
all
the
reductionist
year of polarization. It's
team sports once again.
If there's only two teams, at least in like the NFL, there's 30 teams to dilute the anger. But now, think if there was only the fucking Cowboys and the Redskins every year, they murder each other. People would kill each other.
Our political system is like a 16th or a 20th of as complex as the NFL.
Right.
I mean, basically, so
you can't get a third party. We should have like 12 parties.
So these people are talking about how liberal I am and how Antifa I am and all of this, and yet on another video, I see a comment that says. So for instance, Gregg Zart, mouthpiece to the discriminatory elitist oligarch society that helped to create and facilitate the homeless epidemic as it exists today. I think he just gave me credit for creating homelessness. Thanks, Gregg.
So this is one of the Antifa people who hate you because of your videos on homelessness earlier that they thought you were kind of cavalier on and shit.
While the Trumpers are calling me a libtard Antifa, Antifa says, thanks, Gregg. Way to spotlight and humiliate people and make a spectacle of those suffering for your YouTube channel.
So in other words, no matter which side wins the Civil War, you're in a concentration camp. You're fucked.
Right. And so
no matter which side wins.
Yeah. I mean, some people, and then, so bottom line is that I can't make anybody happy during this.
Bottom line is everyone needs to chill the fuck out.
And, bottom line is Joe Exotic 2020.
Right. Well,
make America exotic again.
Spoiler alert. I make my videos from my perspective, not based on what other people tell me I should do, because if I did that, I would be the shittiest YouTuber ever. Yeah.
Well, and you just used the word perspective. That's all it is your perspective. And motherfuckers want to demonize you for a perspective. Like, what happened to just freedom of thought? They always talk about diversity of thought, not just diversity of racial and everything, but what about diversity of opinion and diversity of thought? Yet, if you have a fucking perspective that they don't share, they're ready to fucking fry you.
Then I'm the enemy.
Where's the freedom of that? What's America about? It's about everybody having their own fucking thoughts and everything.
Exactly.
Stop telling me how to vote, how to think, how to fuck all of you.
But
that should be rule number one.
But then how about this comment on the QAnon video that just came in today? Gregg, this election was blatant fraud. This is about election integrity. Don't be a sheep. Don't be a sheep. That's a very, and by the way, that shell of an old man Biden is not president-elect. This election hasn't been decided yet. What? And so, okay.
Now look, Trump has a legal right to contest it. I mean, like Wisconsin, where I live, it was 20,000 votes supposedly that decided it. So yeah, you should be able to contest that. It's within the legal margin of error to contest it. So the left needs to stop calling him out and saying he shouldn't be allowed to contest it, but he got to stop using the word fraud and shit. When you contest something, it doesn't mean it's fraud. It means there was miscounts, and there was. He's saying that the fucking other side is corrupt, and he's just fucking fueling these fires. Fuck Trump.
And then and I see Jocko said, Gregg Zart, looks like you're on the far. He said, Jocko Homo says, looks like you're on the far left to me, Buster, but all you libs say that. I'm a lib. I noticed somebody else jumped in and talked about.
People are fucking.
It depends on the
sheep?
video.
They're all the sheep buying into this shit.
Exactly. So bottom line is, even when I try to not editorialize, I am accused of editorializing, I guess. So, but nothing's really changed. But the virus has spread. There's 250,000 people that are dead in America right now.
Well, let me ask you about the virus, because coming out of Sturgis, you were like, the virus is bullshit, and agreeing that Sturgis wasn't a super spreader event and everything. I don't know if some of that was playing to that newfound right audience you had for a minute, or if you truly believe that or not. But I think time has told if Sturgis wasn't a super spreader event. I don't know, because this shit to me, I don't know anything. First off, all I know is what I read. I try and read diverse outlets, you know what I mean, and source from different places, because the narratives are always so stringent and binary. But
so I realize I've probably threw some people off, because I went to Sturgis and I took my mask off, and I'm like, yeah, I took my mask off, but I actually expected to get the virus. I was like accepting that risk. I was never a virus denier, although I did believe that the media was hyping the news about the virus, specifically in regards to Sturgis, and I think that's
when you came out of the jail cell,
and
didn't get it,
exactly. And so here I
see how you would think that, anecdotally at least, that this shit is overblown, that it's so fucking contagious.
Well,
it's just like you just happen to have 20 people though who didn't have it. If one guy was in there, you probably all have it.
I don't know how I didn't get it in that damn jail.
There might have just been nobody in there with it. That's my point.
To tell you the truth. So now people are like, you're such a hypocrite. Well, no, I'm not a hypocrite. I believe the virus is real. And I believe that we do need to take precautions. And I think Joe Biden will be a much better leader in that regard. But it's not over. I mean, are we at the end of the first wave? I don't know. Every time I venture out into the streets, I'm hearing about more and more people getting sick.
Well, this is like the start of the second.
Here in Orange County, it's exploding right now.
Yeah, everywhere, man.
They just went back to the most restrictive tier just a few days ago.
So did we. All our restaurants are closed down. All our bars are closed down.
If everybody wore a 30 fucking mask in the first place, we might not be here.
Yeah.
And I still see people.
I know. We could just nip it in the bud.
Do you see this study out of Denmark? Now I've got these conservative friends, because again, I reject the idea of a bubble, and we should get into Parler later, by the way, when you talk about bubbles and echo chambers.
And QAnon, the theory itself.
Which is what we're really here to talk about. But prefacing all that, I have buddies now who are posting this study that Denmark did, where Denmark is pretty much no masks, but social distancing and this and that. They got their own way of doing things.
Right.
But they conducted a study with 3,000 people, I think it was, where they had some of them wear masks all the time and some not wear masks. And I think in the not wear mask crowd, like 52 people contracted it, and in the mask crowd, 40 something did.
Well,
they're saying masks don't really have an effect, but
however,
you don't know if those people wore their masks properly. You're just trusting that they wore it. They didn't have it under their nose like fucking American Ninja.
Yeah,
that's too small of a sample.
Studies are trash, dude.
Look at South Korea. In a mask-wearing culture like South Korea, they've had
Vietnam,
500 deaths. 500. We've had 250,000 because in a mask-wearing culture, they're much better prepared and they're less apt to spread it from asymptomatic transmissions.
And they're not as fucking fat as us, present company included. And they eat kimchi, which is probiotic as fuck in the first level of your immune system.
Healthier.
But QAnon. Okay, so I didn't realize. I've been hearing the buzz about QAnon, and honestly, when I first heard about it, I thought it was like something out of the Onion news.
In case like my wife's mom listens to this, or somebody who doesn't really know, they've heard QAnon, they don't know what it is. Okay. You want to break it down for folks?
I'll break it down in a nutshell. QAnon is a theory proposed by the far right that there is a satanic, cannibalistic, sex trafficking pedophile ring run by the Democrats and battling Donald Trump in order to try to unseat him. But the crux of it is they're Democrats, they're pedophiles, they're trafficking in young children, and they're also cannibals. Okay, and this isn't a joke. This is really
adrenochrome, right? Where they're like drinking the blood. Yes,
they really believe that. And there's two events that are supposed to happen. I
think I know what our next movie is. By the way, this episode is brought to you by our film Cactus Jack. You can see a trailer at the end of it. I think our next movie should be a horror film about QAnon if it was real. Like literally,
I always thought that to be
the
reptilians and shit,
right?
Like,
be insane,
milking kids of their.
I know.
Pituitary.
I mean,
this shit could be crazy.
I guess I was having a little trouble with the definition because if you're trafficking in children, that would lead you to believe that you're like it's some sort of a commerce or there's like a marketplace for it. But if you're eating them, are you just trafficking them so that you can have dinner? Is it like a Schwann's thing?
I think it's a power thing. It's supposed to be that they absorb their, youth.
Yeah, he's just saying. Like, and are you trafficking in them as a live thing, or are they food, or is it that you use everything? They're like the Native Americans. That's what
I see.
They use every part, man. They fuck the kid, then they eat it. You don't just throw it away as waste.
Let me clarify.
Fraud, not waste.
Oh, the younger, the more tender. But let me clarify. It's not just the Democrats that are running it. It's the Hollywood elites. So they always throw in Jeffrey Epstein and those kinds of people, and they're expecting two big events to happen. And one is is this mass incarceration arrest where thousands of people are supposed to be arrested on the same day, and then they're supposed
to Sea of Love. The opening scene is Sea of Love with Al Pacino.
Or The Order.
Sting operation.
And then there's going to be what's called the Great Awakening, where the rest of us are going to be like, aha, we'll have that light bulb go on, and we'll realize that everything they said was true.
They'll all be the prophets and David Koresh's who are early adopters.
And so it's part of the plan, and they have little catchphrases like, where we go one, we go all. And they use acronyms, WWG1, WGA, and you'll see it written on all their crap. And I didn't even realize this was out there until I started going through my footage, and I'm like, whoa, there's a QAnon sign, and there's a QAnon flag, and there's a QAnon shirt, and I had an interview with a QAnon gal who was very passionate about her belief in QAnon, and it's in the video. You can see it. Quarantine number 9.
You're talking about the hairdresser chick?
Hairstylist. She said she's been following them from day one.
What a piece of work!
Right? From day one.
It's just a mind virus.
I said, I noticed you're not wearing a mask, and she got mad at me. She's like, we're outside. I'm like, okay. Sorry,
Thanks
I was
for
wearing
propelling all that direction.
Right? And I think so the bottom line is,
you're like, and I can smell your breath from here, bitch.
It sounds crazy AF, doesn't it? But this is what they really honestly believe. And they think that Donald Trump, don't let me forget, Donald Trump is essentially an angel from heaven. Like, he's a fighting angel.
New York businessman, just
to dismantle
this dude kicks
the
people out on their
cannibalistic
ass so they can tear
pedophiles.
their apartments down or houses down and shit.
I mean, leave it to the sexual assaulter to break the ring of cannibalistic pedophiles.
Well, let's say this.
Just anything goes.
It's starting to already seep into the mainstream because in Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and in Colorado, Lauren Boebert both won fucking House seats.
Cuckoo.
You and I fuckers are in Congress now.
Yep. And I noticed.
I look forward to seeing this. I look forward to seeing this video in our future trials to see if we're executed for
for being heathenistic. We're probably all cannibalistic pedophiles now. Yeah. But I noticed,
dude, I haven't eaten a kid since I was stationed in Germany. Fuck off.
Right.
And that kid was Czechoslovakian. He doesn't even fucking count.
You know, it's like there's more fat, there's more blubber, so it's actually like it's better. It's got more flavor.
That's how I got so fat. Is eating kids.
That's what they say.
But I mean, the bottom line is that fact is stranger than fiction, and so all I've done is just to try to get people to explain their belief system, and the GOP is getting mad at me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What?
And this is again rank and file GOP people. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. Anytime I talk shit about the left, which I'll always say I'm in the police your own camp. If I were to subscribe to any of this shit, Chris and I usually call ourselves now rational humanists versus liberal left, right? Any of this shit, because it circumvents all that. But I believe people should police their own. If the police police their own, we wouldn't have the shit we're dealing with. If moderate Muslims police the more evangelical, we wouldn't have some of the shit we deal with, etc. I try and police the left. I talk to my own people. Hey, maybe we should make better arguments and shit so we don't compromise our position with the shit we know we're right about, you know? And I get called a concern troll and all this shit, but...
Breaking news. I was down at Olympia City Hall. I heard there was a big protest going on. I took my camera gear and my stuff, had my mask on, and I can't go anywhere in this town anonymously anymore. As I was doing a bit,
bro, get that Joe Exotic.
I do. I need to go in full disguise. So as I was doing a bit in front of the broken windows of City Hall, I could hear people in the background. That fucking Gregg Zart, that motherfucker.
That's kind of awesome.
And I'm like, looks like I got some fans. And that at one point, they tried to wrap me in one of their big, huge banners that they were holding on the street. And I have footage of it.
Dude, you should start carrying nunchucks.
They tried to wrap me up like a burrito, okay? And they were screaming. Some guy came.
Some guy cultural appropriation, you fucking.
Hey, I need a wig. I need that wig right there, homie.
Yo, Chris, let Chris have the floor so people can see this shit.
Yeah, that's like a point break wig right there.
What's up, Bodie?
Joe Exotic,
Bodie. And so here's what happened. I, of course, you know, I did my bit, but as I'm doing it, I'm wearing my Gucci shoes because, you know, I like to represent when I go out in Olympia.
Styling, profiling.
I got a certain, you know, there's a
like I said, I feel like you raided Andrew Cunanan's closet after
right, and so I'm super proud of my Gucci. I love my Gucci's, right? Some guy came up and he was fixated. He's like, this motherfucker wearing fake Gucci's. Look at these fake Gucci's. Man, what are you trying to do? Some fake Gucci's. I'm looking at him like, son, don't even go there. I'll get you.
The conclusion.
I will get you. You keep doing it. And he kept doing it. So, you know, when the final video comes out, I'm going to be sitting there with the box that the Gucci's came in and the receipt and all the neat little memorabilia you get when you buy Gucci's. Yep. And I'm going to be receipts. Wow, for some fake Gucci's, they really went to a lot of effort. You know,
they're authentic Gucci's. That's why they say made in Bangladesh.
But for all y'all far righters hating on me, thinking I'm some far left sympathizer, you're about to see how the left treat me. Now, I also put a word out. I heard there was an RV camp happening here in Olympia that was clogging a road to our hospital, clogging it so much that ambulances were having to detour.
Like purposefully, like these fuckers who
they were broken down and once they their camp spreads.
Yeah. So this is part of more of the homeless crisis.
And it's part of the homeless thing. So I was I thought I'd do a Tent City Diaries bit, but seeing as how I'm not well received, I put out a call for volunteers to kind of walk around with me. And I got half a dozen armed ex-military guys who actually showed up, strangers. I didn't know any of them. They had all been following me, and they all just wanted to show me support. And I got some amazing footage. I went back in the jungle. I don't know if you remember the jungle, but the jungle is Lord of the Flies in Olympia. It's craziness. And so they have deer stands with lookouts. Tweaker lookouts.
Damn. Dude, it's like that game Days Gone I've been playing on PS9. And now it's like this fucking post-apocalyptic zombie game, but within the kind of shit, dudes in deer stands, militia
within
dudes.
60 seconds of us going in the jungle, the people were coming out of the tents to surround. And I could hear all in the background, Gregg Zart, that fucker Gregg Zart. Right? So like, they are so afraid.
So you need the muscle.
And so, but I was walking around like, cock of the yard. Like, I was like, what? I got all my boys here. And so bottom line is, I have a bunch of new footage here from Olympia because it's gone out of control.
See this shit.
It's out of control.
Do me a favor, though. I want you to turn the cameras around and interview these fucking dudes who will show up with their guns to protect a Gregg Zart. Like, what's their deal?
Well,
this is what they choose to spend their weekend doing.
Every single one of them wanted to remain anonymous and went to great pains to ask me to not film them or include them.
Probably a good idea because they know that's what got you in this pickle.
Exactly.
Right?
So, and as I was filming, a couple of the social advocates, I guess, from the city were there. An older couple with like a clipboard and a bunch of stuff.
Amazing.
And they, of course, instantly, oh, Gregg fucking Zart! And this guy came up with like a phone on a selfie stick, and he was about 3 feet away from me. I filmed him filming me, of course, like he was gonna catch me doing something wrong. So
it's like the modern equivalent of a sword fight is two dudes with selfie sticks filming each other and shit.
Yeah, and so of course, me, I was like, I started posing. I'm like, you like my Gucci's? You like my shades? Oh no, it was the shades. I'm like, you like my Versace's? Are you getting my good side? And it was like, I could see the steam just because. I'm not out to get anybody.
Well, I will say I could see how wearing Versace Gucci shit into homeless camps could come across as kind of weird.
Hey, I have a brand. I have a brand to protect.
Well, and not only that, you already said, like, it's not like you got a ton of money and shit. So it's like you might like these things and you sacrifice some things in your life to get these things that you like or whatever. But
this is branding 100%. I've got to be true to my brand. And my brand is I'm the Guy Fieri of homelessness. Okay. So
yes.
Holy shit.
I
never even would have thought of that as a concept that could possibly exist. What Guy Fieri is in the food space to be that for homelessness.
Boom. And so, so the bottom line is, I don't set out to get anybody.
Put those shades on the back of your head for me. Isn't that how he wears them, like behind him? Shit.
Oh yeah. He did some like crazy.
No, he like turns them around and wears them on his ears.
Oh yeah.
Like normal, like he has eyes in the back of his head.
Oh, something like that. But the bottom line is, I don't hate homeless people. I've been homeless myself. I feel for people that are suffering, but this homeless by choice in order to fuel drug addictions and then trashing the community is where I draw the line. And so if your campsite's well maintained and you're minding your business, you'll never see me there.
You said, I think, you preach responsible homelessness the last time we talked to you.
Responsible homelessness.
That was interesting to me.
I'm just against the, environmental and sort of ecological destruction of whatever areas that people are inhabiting. And I'm really not a bad guy. I don't really hate everybody.
That's why I'm a fan of UBI, man. Because like a lot of these people, they just reach this fatalistic mentality, like life is just fucking beat them down to a point where why do they give a fuck whether they keep the neighborhood or what, and drugs get into,
But listen to this. I learned something, and I thought I knew everything about this homeless issue. I learned something on this trip. As I was interviewing, I finally got an interview with a guy in the RVs, and I was asking him about the jungle. The jungle's across the street from where all these RVs are. And I said, is this connected with the jungle somehow? And he said, no. The jungle, that's the slums. We're the middle class.
We're people who had RVs.
He said he
I don't have an RV. I want an RV.
Right.
There is a social structure to homelessness, and he said,
I feel like if you have an RV, you're not homeless.
We're the middle class.
That's
and he's
true.
like, those bastards have been coming over here stealing from us. And so there's like a hierarchy to homelessness that I never even
Man, you're going to get motherfuckers in the RVs like shooting on sight. the freakers from the slums. It is like that game Days Gone, if anyone's played that shit.
Zombie invasion.
I feel like, honestly, it's my favorite game of all time now. Play that shit. It's fun as fuck. Great story, too, which is rare in a video game.
Our next series.
Considering of stories that come out of this zombie apocalyptic scene, talk for a minute about that fucking guy who ended up drowning himself in fucking bleach or whatever.
Wow.
What the fuck?
Okay. So
Chris,
that's
do you even know about this?
That's going to be episode number 1 of my new series, Street Stories, by the way. His name's Travis Berge. And I featured him in my Chop video.
I think we might even had clips of him in the first episode we did with you where this guy was a monster of energy, and you get the impression. I mean, he's ripped. He's like in shape.
Yeah.
You get the impression he could have been a leader of men, some Pat Tillman type, if he wasn't a fucking meth freak and had mental illness.
Right.
Reeked of mental illness.
The more research that I did, the more fascinated I've become with Travis Berge, because he came from a family of wealth and privilege. He was a classical pianist. He could play the accordion, the violin, keyboards, a guitar, a mandolin. It didn't matter. He could
probably kick your ass. I mean,
like a virtuoso. I saw him as kind of a Renaissance guy in a lot of respects, and he had charisma. He was intelligent, but his downfall was crystal meth.
Yeah, your documentary is that dude, man. I remember you talking about the.
So basically, when I met him up at Chop, I didn't know any of this. He was preaching to me a story about he wanted to create a sovereign nation state in Chop, and he was talking about it's all going to be peace and love and come on up. And he was really nice to me. He was he had an Olympia beer can, like a cold Olympia beer. And this is a homeless guy carrying like a cart full of garbage.
You know what it is? He's like a millennial Manson. There's like Charles Manson aspect to him.
But wait a minute. But wait, all I said was Olympia beer. Oh my God, I love Olympia beer. He's like, here, bro, I want you to have this. He didn't have anything, and he gave me his beer just because I said so. See,
that's why he has nothing.
As a personable guy.
But this is the Manson of it too. They lure you in. It's so romantic.
He said that he wanted to. He wanted to be a correspondent for my YouTube channel. He was like, he thought that he could do reports from the streets, and he was like, with me and you, bro, best friends, BFF. And then he did like a heart, and then you'll see it in footage as I'm filming him, he did like a heart, and then he goes, he made like these weird devil horns. He like flipped just in the middle of his little shout out to me. Well, Travis Berge turned out to be not all peace on earth utopia. What happened with Travis is he would get extremely violent and almost have like demonic possessions.
And he's a scary dude. Like I said, he's ripped. He has that that energy about him that he might just volatile. Like he could fuck shit up in any second.
He liked to inject crystal meth. I actually filmed him playing with a crystal meth pipe, and he was like, I was like, oh, you got a crack pipe? He goes, this isn't a crack pipe. Clearly, this is a crystal meth pipe based on the shape of. He goes, obviously, you've never smoked crystal meth. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
Obviously,
he goes,
you're not.
And he's like, oozer to me because I hadn't smoked it. Well, in crystal meth frenzy, here's what Travis Berge did with his. He called her his wife, Lisa Vach, who was a sweet gal. She worked at a bookstore in Seattle. She was an artist. She was kind of one of those people that would like adopt a pet to take it off the street and take care of it.
Yeah, unfortunately, she adopted the pet Travis.
And she was drawn in and lured in by his charisma and personality. Maybe she thought she could rescue him. But what he did was literally beat her, pound her into a coma, beat her unconscious in a coma, and then he took a hand drill and drilled a bunch of holes into her brain through her skull, killing her in their tent. Then
Dude, it is the craziest shit. Wait.
He left the tent. He went to a little pump station, which is right on the corner.
Like a water treatment plant, right?
Water treatment park. It's in my footage. You'll see it. I went there. I've been there. And he barricaded himself in there. SWAT teams were called. There was a standoff. Well, inside this water treatment kind of area, there were 50-gallon
it's like the Joker, the vats.
Bleach.
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
Travis Berge killed himself by drowning himself in a vat of bleach after murdering his girlfriend.
Dude, is this not the most epic, heinous? Like, we grew up with our mom reading, like, Say You Love Satan true crime books and shit. Like, this
I listen to true crime podcasts constantly.
This is the most insane, compelling shit ever.
When you see the before interview that I have with him, the one-on-one that I have with him, where he's talking literally love and utopia.
Yeah, but I got that's what I'm talking about, the Manson of it. I got that vibe of this dude.
Well,
you often get the converse, like the homophobes end up being anti-gay to the extreme, etc. You know, it's like
they love dick.
Peach is or violent people.
And so basically in the midst of his meth frenzy, he channeled some demon that murdered an innocent woman and then killed himself. So crazy, the people that I run into and get on film.
And part of the thing with him that's so compelling to me, and I say he's your documentary, etc., is you do get the sense of all of it. And it's very easy to be reductionist and say he seemed to be this peace and love guy, but he turned out to be this. That's what they do in 60 Minutes. And it's like, no, he was all of it. And that's what's so fucking scary, that you can be this guy with all this potential who turns into this fucking whatever. Wait, he didn't turn into. He did the math because of something that happened to him along the way. Like,
there's some deep psychology going on.
Now I know everything. I've been in contact with his. I'm actually Facebook friends with his brother, and I've text messaged with his mother. Here's how it all went down.
Damn, you did go
deep. Did you ever hear of a documentary coming out of Seattle called "Seattle Was Dying"?
No.
Okay, so it has millions of views and really raised the visibility of the homeless problem in Seattle. It was done by a local TV station, Como 4 News. Well, I hadn't caught it, but Travis is featured in this documentary. He had the most arrests of any felon.
Yeah, I read that he was very known to the authorities.
He was in and out of the system, couldn't keep him down. And the footage I saw of him in some of his meth frenzies, where he was snarling and growling and making like animal sounds towards the police and lashing out at them, and he was channeling that evil that took him over that last night of his life. Throughout, it just was something that would happen to him after binging on crystal meth.
Right. Now, evil, again, is moralistic terms. To me, it's just that pain in him, or whatever, the negativity, whatever that. That's what you mean by evil, but it's almost the demon, I would say.
Well, like some of these drugs, like meth and salt bath, or bath salts rather, and stuff like that, seems to bring out this, like, just this monster in people. But what leads them to take that drug in the first place?
Exactly. What's the germ?
Exactly.
Like,
well,
I can't imagine taking meth.
His story is so tragic because he did reek of potential and reeked of illness and reeked of fucking everything. And then, like you said, the girl that he did the drill. I mean, the beating, the drill took it beyond crime of passion.
And what blows my mind is,
mental.
He has a YouTube channel. I have every one of his YouTube videos that he ever made. I've got them all. And a lot of them are cell phone videos of him in California and Denver and working his way towards Seattle. And in all of them, he is creating like peace, love, vibe, hippie circles, giving away free oranges to people, painting like peace signs on women's foreheads, and always talking about peace, love, and animal crackers. So it was so diametrically opposed to.
Well, Chris nailed it. I think Chris nailed it when he said he equated it to the homophobic thing. But it's the bizarro flip side of that coin, which is, to me, is so much more interesting and compelling. It makes me want to write a movie or story about it, where normally it's somebody who's being negative and castigating and all this shit because they're hiding that they really have that thing in them, and they're scared of it or whatever. So they're externalizing, you know what I mean? This fear where they're gay, so they're homophobic because of it. But to twist that, where it's somebody who's truly fucking rotten, but because they're rotten, they're trying to hide they're rotten. They go over the top altruistic and shit. That's
and then the question becomes, how conscious is it? Are they doing it because they know they're rotten and they're trying to consciously overcompensate? I don't think so. I think it's usually subconscious. I
think it is subconscious. Now, before you get back to the mic, Greg, Chris and I, one of the other things we love, one of our all-time favorite stories and shit, a movie that would be near my list of my favorite movies, Mother Night. Kurt Vonnegut's book, Mother Night. one of the great themes expressed ever in literature is be careful what you pretend to be, because in the end, you are what you pretend to be. He might have been practicing that. Fake it till you make it. I'm this rotten piece of shit. I hate myself, but let me try and be a fucking angel, and I might become an angel.
You got to admire that over just giving in outright to your, vices.
So it's not so much duplicitous. Everyone wants to paint it like he's a fucking liar. He painted himself as, even Manson. Manson very well might. I mean, how complex is Manson? Probably that he believes certain things, or whatever. He's just lying and deceiving everybody to manipulate them.
I mean, here's what here's like I actually
oh shit!
Have the transcript of his entire video interview with me, so I can kind of figure out break it.
Was that your writing? I thought that was like his John Doe Cactus Jack.
That's my writing.
I'm worried about you now.
I know.
But keep in mind what he did. But this is what he said. This is what he said. Hey, please, if you want to come and be free and live in the law of love, like, I'm what you need. This is the place for you. This is where we're building heaven on earth. So
I want to produce your documentary about this dude. I want to help you
for real
tell the right story, because I think you got all the shit.
Okay,
let's do it.
But I think the story is there, and it's just a matter of telling it just right. And that's what Chris and I are best at, honestly.
And I have, we got to set up something on Google Drive so I can send you all the stuff that I have, because you have to see his before videos and his prior life. See him playing the piano in his mother's house. It'll blow your mind.
Sorry, we're doing this.
So anyway, we'll hook that up. But this is just one snapshot of this entire year journey that I've ventured out, because a lot of people hunker down. This is the virus year, and what did I do? I ventured out. I didn't hunker down. I ventured out, and these are the circumstances and the things that happen when you just go and embrace kind of chaos.
I feel like because I have a wife and kid, I could never do that. But when you talk about it, it harkens to me. Like, I feel like maybe if I didn't, I would. Maybe I'd be more like Chris and just be like, fuck that shit. I'm not going near it. Probably the case. But the younger me that Chris knows, that was huffing dust off on the fucking T in Boston and yelling at people and live your lives and shit, I feel like I would have been out getting my Gregg Zart on. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it's like the dude, I'm glad you're out there taking it easy for all us sinners. Like, I'm glad you're out there not taking it easy for all us fucking couch potatoes.
I mean, the way I look at it is, this is a momentous, historic, once in a generation event. And if I just didn't go out and actually and touch base with it and it, interact with it, that I'd regret it. And so I wanted to sort of document it, and maybe some of my videos will be some of the footnotes of history that get salvaged out of this year. And because I'm sort of a documentarian, almost like a historian.
Exactly. Now, before we go, I don't know how much time we have left. It could be 10 minutes, could be fucking 5. I do want to throw in, God bless you. You're damn near someone I would nominate as a holy clown, which is one of our earlier podcast incarnations. We talked about the holy clowns, back to Vonnegut, Joseph Heller, Abby Hoffman, those guys. You're trending in that direction doing this shit, because I swear to God, it's so important that more people reject this binary shit, picking a team, vote off issues, guide your life off of policy, like you said. Don't pick a side. And you're employing the Socratic method for the most part when you go out. Like this QAnon shit, which we should return to, which was supposed to be the thrust of all this. You went out there pretty much just practicing the Socratic method, asking questions. You weren't out there
trying to... It's the best way to get at somebody's logic.
That's what we should all be doing. Stop acting like you fucking know everything, which I guarantee you don't know shit. And start asking questions, especially when you find someone you disagree with. Don't just try and make your point to convince them. Ask them why they feel the way they do.
And they weren't gotcha questions. A lot of times people were stepping forward and volunteering what they would want to say to me. I wasn't setting anybody up. I didn't have an agenda. I was just aiming my camera at what was happening, and I make videos out of what I get. That's all it is. And so there's no sort of cabal in my planning. There's no, it's not like
Agenda.
I have some sort of agenda where yeah, exactly. No, I'm just out there experiencing, talking, seeing what people are saying and doing, and sure, I might have opinions about whether I think it's fucking crazy or not, but that's that's beside the point. I'm just
actually, I don't think it is beside the point, even because it is. You're beside your point, but I think it is vital. Like, I want to really get into the nitty gritty, like, because I want to know what leads someone to actually believe that something, say, like the QAnon theory, is legitimate. And like you mentioned Epstein earlier. Epstein turned out to be what seems to be a honey trap sort of deal, right? So they're
like a deep state, to use a conspiracy theorist term.
Yeah, and that stuff, I don't think anyone ever questioned that was ever happening. That these honeypot operations, that people were sleeping with underage girls. I mean, fucking Elvis married his 13-year-old cousin or whatever.
Jerry
That's
Lewis.
That's a huge difference from cannibalizing babies and shit. You know what I mean? So like, to use the Epstein thing, which many of us, including myself, acknowledge that he probably was murdered. It was probably a honey trap operation. That, even if not, take a step back from that, whatever. But it's a huge leap to go from that to fucking lizard people eating the brains of babies and shit like that. You know what I mean?
It's frightening.
Like, all the evidence is like making huge leaps to try and make these conclusions.
Well, and the way it's tied up in Trumpism. Let's touch on Trumpism again before you leave, because there's look at Sturgis. Going back to your Sturgis video, the Rambo with Trump's head on it, and shit. Like, what the fuck do you guys think this guy is? They think he's some
personality
Jedi playing 4D chess. Go back to the Star Wars review we did on that other My Favorite Movie episode. People think that he is truly what we were saying Jar Jar Binks should have been, where he's this fucking Sith Lord who's playing 4D chess, playing everybody, that he's bumbling drunken master, but really he's making these fucking moves, these geopolitical moves. Like, come on.
I don't think he's thinking ahead like 4D chess, but I do think that he has a good instinct for negotiating and things like that. Not necessarily in like a traditional sense, but just that.
No, it's about leverage. He understands leverage.
Yes, he understands the principles behind it well enough to. Yes. I mean, he managed to become president. He managed to leverage himself.
All of you people who applaud Trump for that and think it's a fucking feature of Trump, not a flaw, where you say, look, he just knows how to negotiate. He asks for the crazy shit so he can get what he really wants. All I ask is that you apply that same thought to AOC with the Green New Deal, to Bernie with socialism and everything's free. Maybe they're asking for the world so they get universal health care. Did that ever fucking occur to you? Or do they have to be nutty left fucking cunts?
What blows my mind, and what people will throw at me a lot that are Trump supporters, they'll rail against what a big liar Joe Biden is. They'll rail against okay? They'll and yet Donald Trump, obviously PolitiFact has tracked more than 20,000 actual lies that he's told while president. Though the hypocrisy is palpable. They call me a sheep, and yet they parrot everything that Donald Trump says. And so who's the sheep?
Well, here, let's talk about this real quick. Because the election fraud, the whole basis of the fraud thing is when the mail-in votes came in, right? He literally told his people, do not vote mail-in.
Yeah.
So now they're all pissed that all the mail-in votes are coming in for Biden.
Yes.
It's not rocket science.
Surprise.
Why did all the late mail-in ballots come in for Biden? Because you told all the Republicans not to mail in ballots, dipshit.
Right.
And what about, and so.
He probably would have won the election if he told them to vote mail-in.
Could have happened, yeah. Could have
dumb fuck.
Exactly. And so, no, it's.
So, 4D chess, no.
No, dude. He's playing fucking checkers.
No. And throwing the board up when he loses.
Right.
The irony is the people that support Donald Trump the most, Donald Trump wouldn't piss on them to put him out if they were on fire.
Fuck no.
That's a feature.
Unless they're underage and Russian, he'll piss on them.
Yeah, well,
kidding. I'm kidding. That Michael Steele dossier is probably bullshit. I'm kidding.
Probably.
But I mean,
I know. I hope it's true. If I'm Trump, I'm pissing on some Russian teens. That's all I'm saying.
But the Trumpers are mad about him lying, about Biden lying, about Biden surrounding himself with criminals, and blah blah blah. Wait a minute. Do you know how many people in Trump's orbit went to prison? Do you know how many people,
Right.
like
His own personal lawyer who now has
if
turned on him.
If you're so passionate about law and order, how the hell do you still support Donald Trump? If you're so passionate about these issues, lying, how would you support Donald Trump? Like,
Well,
do the religious evangelicals and these fucking porn stars, etc. Here's a quick thing. I'll let you jump in, Chris, real quick. Let me say this in like 5 seconds. I love how the same benefit of the doubt isn't given to the left. All right, well, everyone says Biden is this, the left is so communist and crazy. Why do we have Biden then?
Yeah.
Why we would have the lefty socialist. If the left was so crazy and running shit, we'd have Bernie.
That's why Bernie Sanders lost.
We have Biden, who's basically a good Republican.
Right.
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, you were going to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
God damn, I lost it. Go ahead.
Well,
You're alone, right?
Yeah. Is it cool if I start filming now?
No, what do we get inside? Why are you here?
I just thought it was really interesting, that someone hasn't left their basement in 6 months, not even to use the bathroom. Is that true?
Why would I want to go out there? I got everything I need right here. That's what's wrong with most people. They're weak-willed pussies and parasites who buy into that whole "it takes a village" bullshit. You know how many aliases I've used calling into radio shows?
I've had it up to my goddamn gills with the systematic feminization of this country.
I don't think I'm important what you want, Jeff. Get your own damn show if you think you got that much to say.
You live in your mom's basement.
Kid! No! Fuck you! What's so special about my loser son?
You really do hate your own mother.
She's a woman. Why wouldn't I?
There's some disconnect there, and if I could find it, what is hate? Where does it come from? Where does it go?
You want to know what gender you are? Reach down the front of your fucking pants and shoot fucking kite. Black Lives Matter. Do you call horses slaves? Liberal fucktard. Enough with the parades and the rainbow flags.
Dude, this guy's... it's like pure hate, man.
Want to see something really fucking cool?
This guy is a fucking animal. He's got himself on a leash. He's itching to get off that fucking leash. And he's gonna fucking kill some people.
What a fucking show.
Stop!
What do we hear?
Look at me! Look at me!
You're gonna help me show him the light. We're gonna change the world.
This is Cactus Jack coming to you live from a studio audience.
To the man who calls himself Cactus Jack, we have watched as you have rocketed to infamy.
And you wonder why these cornered animals lash out. Pick a fucking side.
And now, we have watched as you have called for literal blood.
I know you're out there listening. It's buzzing in your ears, burrowing into your brain.
Do it.
Jack, you're gonna love this. I pulled that trigger on that motherfucker's head.
Your VPN will not shield you. The darknet will not hide you. You and your kind are finished.
You think I'm scared of you?
Come and fucking get me!
Might I be your neighbor? Neighbor?